It's the Bubble in the Brain podcast presented by Lawn Chair HVA.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Bubble minus the Brain podcast featuring special guest Casey Bowen. We're joined today by special guest Merrick Smith. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, guys?
A lot to talk about this week. We'll jump right into it. Hardin Valley Academy traveled to Dobbins-Bennett to get spanked 42-0. I did not go. Mom would not let me drive. Casey, what'd you see? Your point of view.
Not good.
Manhandled.
That's one way to put it. Curb stomped.
Ran through,
Bulldozed.
destroyed.
Well, hopefully the Hawks can put it in the past. My offensive MVP, I don't even know if he played. Adrian Garcia, defensive MVP. Adrian Garcia
He didn't play.
didn't play. Well, he's still my
He didn't make any mistakes, though.
Number 21 on the field, number 1 in my heart. This week, homecoming game. Hawks host the West Rebels, undefeated. 2 Arkansas SEC commits. Personally, I don't expect a different result from last week.
You think that trophy's going back to West this year?
Nope, I'm feeling good.
Hawks by 90, am I right?
Homecoming, we're coming out. We're winning. Bounce back week.
You heard it here first, folks. In other Knoxville football news, the Tennessee Volunteers still suck. Garen Thomas sucks. We'll put it that way.
He's bad.
We're not going to put that on the rest of the team. Not much to talk about there.
We suck.
We suck.
The offense sucks. The defense sucks.
People are talking about a coaching change. I don't think that's
not
that's
necessary.
vi-
Not necessary.
You need
I
a quarterback
definitely
change, if anything.
I definitely think we need to let Pruitt get at least 4 years in. Get at least 4 years with his guys. I think after that, if we still suck, maybe you give him the boot then. But
You
for
can't-
right now, give him
Nobody
at
hates
least 2 more
Tennessee football more than Tennessee.
You can't
It's
run
true.
Butch out of Knoxville for a toxic culture and then give Pruitt only a year to prove himself. You can't. You got to give him, like Casey said, 4 years to hopefully run toxicity out of Knoxville. Restore us to prominence. Harrison Bailey, please hurry up. In the world of college football, UCLA's 32-point second-half comeback to win 67-63 against Washington State. Gardner Minshew was on hand to watch Anthony Gordon break his Washington State record for passing touchdowns in a game, although in a losing effort. The over-under on that game, 60. If you pick the under, you're dumb. Life's too short to pick the under. 130 combined points were scored, 50 second-half points for UCLA, 1,377 yards of total offense, and 18 total touchdowns.
Yeah. Great performance by UCLA and Chip Kelly. Washington State, that's just embarrassing. UCLA lost to Cincinnati. They suck. They can't even fill out a stadium. They're terrible. And then their 32-point comeback with how much time left? Like a quarter and a half?
Yeah.
Quarter and a half left in the game.
50
32
second-half
comeback.
points.
That's
crazy.
I'm not going to say Washington State sucked. I'm going to say Washington State's defense sucks. Because Anthony Gordon had a great game. 9 touchdowns. I mean, that's just insane. That's crazy. Washington State's offense.
9 touchdowns for any quarterback is good points.
Yeah. Eric, what's the most touchdowns you ever had in a game?
45. Not
What-
points, touchdowns. Points.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, UCLA's quarterback, had 7 total touchdowns. So he wasn't that far off of Gordon's numbers, but definitely not as well.
Not as good of a game.
Not as good of a game. Turnovers ended up being the downfall for Washington State. I think they had 6. Other games, USC bounce back game against Utah, 130-23. Their backup quarterback, they're already leaning on their backup, who had proved to be a pretty good option, goes down in the first drive or something. Their backup, their third string, comes in and lights it up. They win 30-23.
USC has 3 quarterbacks that are better than Tennessee's best quarterback.
UCF finally goes down.
Yeah, snapped their regular season win streak of what was it, like 28 or something like that?
Last loss was in 2016.
It's insane. To Pitt, they lost to Pitt. Pitt is not good.
Just goes to show when you try and throw with the big boys, you can't always do it. Talk about this Wisconsin-Michigan game. Casey, I know you're a big Harbaugh guy.
You know what? I've been on Michigan all year.
Oh,
And,
this is their year.
I've been on Michigan all year. They kind of let me down.
Casey has said some questionable things this year that
So-
you guys haven't seen, so he's lucky.
Wisconsin favored by 3.5. I'm taking Michigan. Go blue. They're going to the playoff. Harbaugh's getting in there. He's keeping his job. Shea Patterson, one of the best QBs in the country. He's going to prove it this
that's
week.
not true.
Michigan by 30.
He's in the
Hey,
hot
you
seat.
still on the bandwagon?
I'm jumping ship. I'm getting out. I'm getting out while I still can. I know what I've said in past weeks. I've been the biggest Michigan supporter out there, and week after week, they never fail to stab me right in the face. Week after week, they make me look stupid. I'm done. I'm done with Harbaugh. He should be fired. He should have got fired at halftime. He's done. Michigan sucks. They'll never be back. They can't win any big games. They suck.
Casey, I'm gonna need you real quick to plug this week's bye week, because it seems like every team that you touch turns to ashes. So if you touch the bye week, I'm confident Tennessee will not lose to the bye week.
It hurts.
Jonathan Taylor had a pretty good game.
Yeah, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He got hurt too, didn't he?
Yeah.
At some point, yeah. He's one of my top Heisman guys this year. You know that there's the quarterbacks that are throwing for insane yards and touchdowns, like Anthony Gordon. I don't think he'll be able to win it just because Pac-12. But there's always that one running back. You know, he had all those San Diego State guys back in the day, not a couple years ago, that would rush for similar numbers. I think Jonathan Taylor Wisconsin will play the schedule. That could put him in the conversation. I think he'll be in New York.
I think he ends up in New York, but I don't think he wins the Heisman because the Heisman's more of a quarterback award
Yeah.
at this point. So
Especially nowadays when you have Tua Tagovailoa. He's every time it's nice easy passes. I don't see him making many tough throws.
which means Matt could instantly go out there and throw.
Yeah,
for
I'm
400
winning the
yards.
Heisman in 2 years, guys.
Matt's winning the Heisman. If you get anything out of this podcast, Matt wins the Heisman.
Other quarterback news: Joe Burrows continues to be a legitimate Heisman contender. You don't really know LSU isn't really known for their offense. Usually, they're usually that team that is going to win maybe 24-0. They're putting up 66 points in a game now. That's a scary. But they did give up 38, so maybe that era of defense is over.
No, I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong, Matt. LSU's defense is still really, really good. They have Grant Delpit, who's probably the best safety in the country. I mean, yes, they give up 38 points in a meaningless
To Vanderbilt.
in a meaningless game to Vanderbilt. Not to mention Vanderbilt has 3 offensive players that were arguably preseason All-Americans, and Kalijah Lipscomb, Keyshawn Vaughn, and Jared Pinkney.
Still gonna lose to Tennessee.
So
But still, 38 points. I'm not putting too much stock in that defense, giving up 38 points to Vanderbilt.
I am. LSU's legit. Their defense is legit.
Merrick,
LSU's always been my favorite team.
have they?
I change it every year.
Kind of not really a surprise team, but to be playing this well. Auburn held off Texas A&M their second half surge.
Expected.
Auburn is now 4-0 at Kyle Field. Auburn's run game. I saw a neat thing on the SEC network. 2 analysts, they said Auburn's probably the most SEC team, SEC-like team this year. Strong running game, strong defense, and they said Auburn is a bigger threat to Alabama than LSU is.
I would agree.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think to beat Alabama, you have to have really good quarterback play, and LSU has that in Joe Burrow. Auburn has pretty good quarterback
LSU
play.
has the offense, but they don't have the defense to contend with somebody like Alabama.
I mean,
Alabama's gonna run
I'd be a
I
shootout.
think the formula to beat Alabama is a really good offense with a good defense. Now, I think you need a great offense and a pretty good defense. Like teams like those Ole Miss teams that beat them 2 years in a row, a couple years ago, nobody was talking about their defense was just pretty good. But they had Chad Kelly, they had a bunch of these other playmaking receivers that went out and made plays, and that's what LSU has. I think LSU probably has the best chance to beat Bama, not Auburn, because I mean it's hard to run the ball against Bama. It's a lot easier to throw the ball against them.
If you're getting into shootouts with Alabama, that's the only chance.
It'll be close, and Auburn definitely has a chance to pull it out.
Well, we got time to test them a little bit more to see who's going to win that game. Georgia, number 3. Georgia beat number 7 Notre Dame. Notre Dame covered, so I'm happy about that. That was one of my pick'ems last week. It was a lot closer than I expected.
Do you think their playoff hopes are still alive?
I do think they're still alive. Usually Notre Dame's not their biggest knock is they don't have a conference championship game. I think the fact that they played Georgia close, and if they're able to win out, they still have some tough games. They play Virginia this week. I still think they're able to make a case for them being in the playoff.
You know, I don't think they have a chance to make the playoff because they don't play in a conference championship. Last year, an undefeated Notre Dame team barely made it in as the 3 seed, and there was a bunch of conversation about them not making it at all. That was an undefeated Notre Dame team. If this Notre Dame team is 11-1, I don't see how you can put them above the SEC champion. I don't think you can put them over the Big Ten champion, and you can't put them over Clemson, who's going to win the ACC. And I mean, the SEC is always a contender to have 2 teams in there.
I'm going to agree with Casey. I think
Oklahoma. I would take Oklahoma to get in over them. I'd probably take Texas to get in over them too, with that close loss to LSU if they win their conference. Yeah, I think they're done.
Yeah, I think Georgia shut the door on Notre Dame.
I think it all depends on how the rest of the season goes and who loses what games. It also depends on how many teams the SEC puts in. Because I'm confident SEC will get 2 in this year. There's too many top tier teams like Alabama, LSU, Georgia, and then Auburn. You never know what could happen. So we'll see. Notre Dame still alive. Who knows? Moving on to this week's games. Not too many ranked matchups. Still some good games to be played. I'm looking at Penn State, Maryland. Maryland started the season extremely hot, 71 points a game through their first 2 games. Then sputtered against Temple, Penn State. Games at Maryland too, so that's we'll see where that game goes. Week.
You know, a game I'm looking at that a bunch of people probably aren't. I think this is going to be a really close game. I think North Carolina and Clemson. I think that game's going to be a lot closer than people expect. I think Sam Howell comes out, has a great game as a true freshman against that Clemson defense. I think Clemson still wins, but I think it's closer than people think. Maybe Clemson by 10.
Clemson always has that game that's like somewhat of a trap game, somewhat a close game.
Yeah.
Syracuse in the past. What were some of the other trap games?
Pitt.
Yeah, that was a close game.
Notre Dame, Virginia.
Notre Dame, Virginia. Yeah. Can Notre Dame bounce back? Virginia. Who did they play this past week?
They played Florida State.
No, they played Old Dominion.
Old Dominion.
And took a big second half surge to beat Old Dominion. So, 2 teams that probably pretty down on themselves right now.
Both teams need to win this game.
It's must-win game. It's definitely a must-win game for Notre Dame.
And then the last ranked matchup of the week is USC against Washington, right?
Yeah.
I really don't know what to expect in this game. You have USC coming in with is there second string quarterback going to play this week, or are they back to the 3rd string?
I would go with the 3rd string.
Either way, a second or 3rd string quarterback, and Washington's got Jacob Eason, who's had a pretty good year so far. The game is, where is it? It's in Washington, so I'd give Washington the slight edge, but
they are a 9.5 point
it
favorite.
should be a good game to watch.
Another game that's going to be interesting, Mississippi State and Auburn. Kentucky came to Mississippi State. They handled them pretty well. Auburn's coming off a big win. Look for Mississippi State to make some noise in that game. I'd say similar play styles. Run the ball.
Yeah,
pretty good defense. A typical Big 12 game that we're actually picking the over-under on in our pick 'em later this week. Oklahoma and Texas Tech. Over-under 71. Casey's confident that game's going over.
I love the over in that one.
You never know how many points are going to be scored in those games. It could be a shootout down to the wire, 40-something to 40-something. It's definitely taking the under. Oklahoma's defense is looking improved this year. You never know. They could shut them down. I think that's all we have for today. Tune in. Try and post it on Thursday or Friday. Our pick'em selections. The Brain, Josh Newman, will be back. We'll have Pick'em Boy Jake, Pick'em Boy Casey. We got some good matchups to decide on. Tennessee. Saw a funny tweet. They've opened as a 21-point underdog to the bye week. Casey, I really need you to support the bye week right now.
Good one, Matt.
Support them. Support the bye week right now. So
bye week by 50.
There you have it. In Smitty we trust.